Hey everybody, I'm sorry I couldn't be there tonight. I am a genius with dates and things I had going on. But I put together this video about my DataStreme atmosphere plan of action. The first thing I wanted to go over was the school outreach, so how we're going to get the information to our school, which is Effingham County High School. I put it down and broke it into 3 steps. The first step is what I feel is the most important, and it's about recruiting students to build a database of weather information in the form of a central website. And it really puts the students in charge, and it also makes them have the responsibility of feeling like they are contributing to this, not only to the school, but also to teachers as well. I broke down the website into kind of 4 central components, which is 1, local weather information from regional weather stations. So students will look up weather station information, highlight it, create links, make it readily available for viewing. The second thing is weather information collected locally from students, so they can have their own responsibility, observations, data, analysis that they're taking, through the guidance of teachers. I feel like the way to get these students is maybe through a club, either creating a new club, either a weather club or meteorology club, or having it branch out from the science club, which is what Lauren is in charge of, and really kind of incorporating all that to have them be the webmasters to this that the entire school can use. The third thing is updating links for aids to weather lessons that can be incorporated for various content. So this is actually lessons that teachers are going to be using, and it's students that are putting the lessons on there. So it's something that they want to learn. It's what they are interested in, so it can give teachers an insight, this is what students want, and it also gives students an opportunity to kind of be in charge of their own education and provide input for their own education. And I think it will be really mutually beneficial for both teachers and students. The last thing, number 4, is to create a link to the central Teacher Edmodo website, which is the second step. I think building an Edmodo website kind of provides a place for teachers to share their information. They can share lesson plans, they can share comments, things that worked, things that didn't work, or maybe they need assistance with something. It will be something that they can do. So in my group section, I created a new group, which is ECHS NOAA Weather Connect. And you can invite many different teachers, make sure they can have their own Edmodo page. I also put down the NOAA's education mission statement, so that gives them an idea of, what's the purpose behind all of it. In addition to that, I already uploaded the lesson plan that I'm presenting here for you, so it kind of gives them an idea of something that they can incorporate. And I think, incorporating the weather and meteorology into their already made lessons is really important, because it tells them that you don't have to, start over. You're just kind of integrating stuff, and you can build on it throughout the years every time that you do it, or change something along the lines like that. The last thing is the third step, which is being available to provide monthly workshops to teach meteorological basics, but pretty much to share information. It gives a face time between teachers, conversations to occur, and that was a suggestion given into the DataStreme Plan of Action instructions, which I thought was really key to make sure that teachers feel like they have someone to talk to and to hash out anything that they're having trouble with. And that gives you an opportunity to provide the basic information so that they feel confident in teaching information that they may have never taught before. So that's my idea for school outreach. That's just kind of the basics, and hopefully it will have, branch out. And of course it will take a lot of time to kind of get started, but that's kind of what I have so far. Okay, so I want to go over the lesson plan overview. My lesson plan really describes the introduction, a few days of introduction for a unit project, which will incorporate content from the DataStreme course. As a motivator, students are going to complete some introduction activities that will relate to conduction, convection, and radiation, and this was found in our chapters 3 and 4 of the our readings that we were doing. And it's going to connect these terms to energy sources such as wind and solar, which are going to be actually utilized in 9 consecutive activities. And in the middle project, in the middle of those activities, there's going to be a mini project which will guide the students to develop really how they should start their project. And the final project is going to be a website producing information on the mastery of their content. So I'm just going to take you through pretty much what the lesson plan is. The main thing about the lesson plan is really covering energy transformations and electricity. But I've incorporated the content from our lessons in order to kind of enhance it and also give that more relatable attributes to weather itself. So key things, of course, materials and stuff, and I'm going to go through all of those that you'll need, but they're in here. In addition to that, I also have a kind of extension, which is a great book called The Boy Who Harnessed the Wind, Creating Currents of Electricity and Hope by William Kamkwamba. And it's a true story based on a boy in Africa who actually builds a windmill, and it provides independence and education for his village, which pretty much sets them free. Really inspirational book, but it talks about how, different weather systems he had to observe and collect data, and then he developed, a source of energy from the data that he used. And so that was pretty impressive, considering that this young man couldn't read at all. And how he developed that. And so it's really interrelatable to the actual unit that the students are doing. And I want to kind of enhance the weather aspects of this particular lesson. So the introduction activities, or the motivators that they're doing, has two parts, A and B. The first one is transferring heat energy, which is really dealing with the pinwheel. And I just have a brief video that shows that demonstration, which is this. For the pinwheel, you're going to need a small piece of tinfoil, a pencil that you can... Now, I found that the pencil actually is really difficult to kind of balance on there. So if you usually flip it around and put the pencil into the clay and put the eraser at the top, and you can put just like a pin at the top where the pinwheel can move freely, tends to work a little bit better. But of course, all you do is you set it up as shown, and then you light the candles. And a really good pinwheel really kind of forms. Now, small pie plates actually work better, or you can just use small square tinfoil. Whatever is more beneficial or readily available that you have. But kids love this. They love seeing that, air actually does have a flow to it, and there is convection, and it's a really great way to kind of start out the conversation between kinetic energy and how it produces how it can produce from kinetic energy to mechanical energy through the sources of, like a windmill and things like that. Okay. So, and part B is potatoes. They pretty much boil potatoes at different time intervals, and then they're able to cut them open, and then they're going to see the cooked potato versus the raw potato, and they look at the independent and dependent variables and can see that over time heat is transferred through the contact through the potato. So that's the conduction part of it. And then the radiation and convection part occurs in part A. And so in that lesson, that kind of has just some follow-up questions that go with it. It gets you into the conversation about temperature scales and conversions and things like that. And also I have, heat flow from one, hot to cold, and it gives different kinds, just some different exercises after they've done that. The project that they're actually doing is the electricity unit project, which actually produces the website at the end that they're going to have to investigate a region, determine what type of energy source is going to be best for that region, and that's where it's going to be focused on, what kind of wind does it get, how much solar, average solar radiation does it get per year, what's going to be the best source of energy for that particular region based on its climate and weather. And so I also provided a rubric for it that's just hanging out there, but I have a list of the different activities that go with it. So it's pretty much very heavy in electricity. But in the middle of the unit, which I have highlighted in green, is the mini challenge, which energy location is pretty much wind or solar. They have to determine what they're going to use. They need to use graphs and insolation charts to determine the appropriate energy source for that particular region that they have chosen. And so these are straight from the book that we have, which it looks at, and these are kind of basic instructions of what the mini project is. They need to determine which energy will be used. They will use where the ideal location to develop this energy, and then finally look at the insolation graphs that I have from Miami, Florida, and Portland, Oregon. And they have to kind of determine what is the ideal location, and also kind of justify their answer. Well, is my windmill in a good location? Why or why not? So in addition to some of the solar radiation per month, and I also have a insolation average for the annual from July 1983 to 2005, which is also given in your book as well. I have, in addition to that, the United States annual average wind speed. So they'll look at this information, and here's the Florida versus Oregon chart, and they have to kind of determine which is the best ideal based on their location of their particular region. So I have some examples of that students have done so far, and most of this, of course, it's heavily physics based on circuitry and electricity. But based on what power and energy source they're looking at, they had to do some background information. Now, this is all they had to do this year, and my goal is to kind of expand on that after this class and learning this information. So, for instance, she has an average climate of 37 degrees Celsius and an average rainfall of 19.31 millimeters, with an average wind speed of 9 miles per hour, and on average of 200 clear cloudless days per year. So when she developed that, well, based on this information, my obvious energy source is going to be solar power. But kind of developing more of a, how do you justify that solar power is the primary source for that. So she did a pretty good job as far as researching what would be best. Another example kind of shows where it needs to have more substance. So climate, tropical, temperate, mild winters, generally warm, subject to monsoons, sporadic natural disasters. So it doesn't really explain, why they choose a particular energy source or something along those lines. So that just needs more development, and that's on my part to make sure that I've kind of spruced up what using the weather sources and things that we have now, and the things that I have now, in order to make it have more substance as far as how the weather regions go and things like that. So that's that. If you have any questions about anything that I have on here, or want any information or anything like that, you can contact me at either one of these addresses, and I'd be more than willing to share some information or anything like that, or answer any questions that you may have. And so that's all I have. Thank you for your time, and I hope that I will see you all again. Thank you all. It's been great. Have a great evening.